can speak to me directly about it, and I just wonder.
We can talk a little bit now, and you can talk to me later.
Sure.
Yeah. Because it's a big, addiction is obviously is an extreme example of self-centeredness, and it really has one of its main moves is contempt prior to investigation. It thinks it knows, and it's not going to listen. And sometimes it just has to burn down to the nub. Like in my case, I had a lot of people who tried to help me, but from the glasses I had on, I saw them as threats, and the people that were killing me I saw as allies. That's how distorted alcoholism is for me, of a way of looking. I didn't get to that, did I, the way of looking and seeing? I'd like to go back there. So I found, it took me years to get to AA. I got run over by a car twice in one night, shot at, spent 2 years in a drug and alcohol program and 3 months in another Project Return in the Bronx when I was younger. And jails, a lot of jails, and going in and out of, and I was an intravenous user and overdosed a number of times, and it seemed like there was never going to be an end to it because I was not getting it. I just could not get it. I left that place after 2 years and I was loaded in a week. It was just incredible. And so I had really basically accepted that destiny. I was just trying to live like a rat, just get loaded every day. And I knew I was going to be institutionalized or dead or in jail because that's what happens. And I had given up all hope, really. So, but what occurred with me is something occurred. I had a moment of clarity. I'll tell you a little story of it. I was in a trailer with a guy I didn't know, in Calistoga, California, and we were drinking a bottle of Royal Gate vodka, really cheap vodka. We always call it, you enter the gate, the Royal Gate, about 80 cents a pint. And we were drinking this stuff, and I was just trying to make it till nighttime, and hopefully some guy would come with money and I could get some dope and stuff. And then I was just looking at the guy, and he had a big bulbous nose and varicose veins, and I said to myself, this guy's a bum, And lo and behold, I saw him looking at me like I was a bum. And for some reason, something happened. This is what I call really a Zen bitch slap, because something happened and the selfing got startled and it stopped. And I call it surrender. That's what we call it in recovery. You don't know what surrender is until it's given to you. Because I never surrendered. I've been shot at and everything, but I never surrendered. But that moment, just a typical day in the office, I surrendered. Something occurred, which is the selfing stopped and something came in. Some juice, some grace, if you want to call it. And it set off a train of circumstances, which brought me to my first meeting a day later. And I've been sober and clean for almost 22 years now. So that one little, and it didn't stay open for long. I wanted to get loaded in about 15 minutes later, but I couldn't find anyone who'd fall for my shit. And then a lady said, hey, do you want a place to stay tonight? And I wanted a place to stay. She said, you have to go to an AA meeting. So she's the one who took me to my first meeting. But something came in that little opening, that pause, and its effect in this place has been 22 years. That's an amazing demonstration to me. And it changed the biggest influence in my life, like overnight, which is alcoholism. Alcoholism was the tattoo of my life. It was my destiny. It had been dominating this. It had taken this over for many, many years. And suddenly it stopped and I've been clean and sober ever since. So for someone who has the addiction, it's very difficult to get it through unless they're ready. And you could do him a disservice by trying to help him. And probably he will not take help from his mother or dad. It's got to usually come from some other source. Because he's got too many ideas about you probably and beliefs, But I would... you can do what you can. You can present him things and see what he's going to do with it. But hopefully it may be just a phase. For me, it wasn't. Other people I know got off the horse way before it died, but I rode it when it was dead for years. But I survived. I lived through it, and so therefore I got another story in my life. This one. And the only requirement I had was to live through it, and I did. So I don't know I'll talk with you later. It's a tough... But it is just an extreme demonstration of selfing. Because the selfing creates such a dis-ease in the host that it wants relief. And if the conditioning in selfing is relief is alcohol and drugs, it's going to go that way. And there's different levels of addiction. See, I'm a real addict. In other words, I will pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. And when I was in that untreated alcoholism, I was uncomfortable all the time, so I just got loaded, and no matter if I got arrested or shot at, it didn't stop me. But some people will stop if there's a sufficient enough reason for it. Yeah? They're like heavy users, but they're not addicts. But I'm a real alcoholic and a real addict, and I needed a spiritual solution. I needed a profound psychic change. That's what they say is the only thing that really works, and that's what the 12 steps are really about, is about you're doing a certain amount of steps and you have a spiritual awakening, which is you'll have an experience of that pause, and hopefully there'll be a recognition you may be that instead of the selfing. Yeah? And that's what happened with me. I had a psychic change. Now I never think about it. Never think about doing drugs or drinking. Haven't for years. And it's like one of the things it says in our book is that when this shift occurs, it will seem like you'll cease fighting everyone or anything. You'll be placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. So it has nothing to do with doing and having. Yeah? It's so beautiful. And the most incredible one is the problem will not exist for you anymore. And to me, that is a solution worth its name, when it causes the problem not to exist anymore. And that's what's happened to me. Alcoholism and all that stuff does not exist for me anymore. It's like it never happened to me. Yeah, it's powerful, eh? So the psychic change is what I needed as a real alcoholic. Some people just need a little bit of counseling through that rough patch and then they'll get their life together. My life was that direction, and it was going to go there till death unless I had an intervention. This is where I was. I was like a pro bum. Alcohol, drug addict. So, but I'll talk with you later, and there are young people's meetings, and AA is great. There's a lot of young people in it. And a lot of times the worst thing when you're young is boredom. Yeah? Drinking and getting into shit with people keeps you busy. Boredom is what they're really afraid of. Yeah? And so AA has young people and they're doing things, and it's pretty lively, and it can be really helpful. Because you get, the AA program is about we. It's the we, not the I. It's a beautiful thing. The I is not it. All our steps say we. It's a we program. So what I can't do alone, we can do together. So we get together in a fellowship, and we support each other to entertain this practice, or whatever you want to call it. For me, it was an invitation. The practice was a part of it, but I don't practice anything anymore in AA. I don't do any of that stuff, because I'm living the freedom that it had to offer. Why would I want to... To me, the whole point is freedom. It's not just a way of managing something that's unmanageable. That's good when it's unmanageable, but I want to, let's expand the entertaining possibility. I want freedom. So that's what's happened. So I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So you were going to go back to seeing...
Oh, yeah, because, see, I've had a very long experience of looking alcoholically to life. And that way of looking has been cataloged through a big book and thousands of meetings. We have a lot of information about the characteristics of that way of looking. That's what happens. They present it to you and you identify with that. You go, wow, that's exactly the way I've been looking at everything. And what happened with me is I was going to meetings and I was sitting here in a meeting like this, and without knowing it but feeling terminally unique, I thought, no one had my thoughts, no one had my feelings, no one had my reactions to life, tons of guilt and shame, all this. And I started listening to people share their thoughts, their feelings, and their reactions, and I noticed only two things could be happening. Either they somehow got my thoughts and my feelings and my reactions, or they're not mine. And that was one of the first revelations, that the thoughts I've been calling mine my whole life are alcoholic thoughts. The feelings that I thought were so terminally, uniquely different and mine, thousands of people have. Yeah? And what happens is we identify not with who we are, but what we've been taken over by at a meeting. We've been taken over by one parasite that has a set of characteristics that expresses itself through thousands, actually millions of different hosts. And we've cataloged it now, and we've recognized the beast. That's the freedom AA offers. It's a foreign installment. It's a parasite. It's just another form of thinking, an extreme way of thinking in a self-centered manner. So that's a way of looking. AA is like a pair of glasses that corrects those distortions. So at least maybe you can enjoy a picnic without throwing a fit, or maybe have a relationship and not be brought up on stalking charges. You know? And it seems like a success compared to where you were. It works. So these things start correcting these old ways of looking. Yeah? And this first way of looking, this self-centered way of looking, creates a dependency on it. Yes? Because you're so dependent, you think this is the way you see. And it's not. It's a way of looking. It's all conditional. So this second pair of glasses, though, doesn't have that. Its thing is to actually, in a sense, become obsolete, with the hope that you'll give up having to get a new way of looking and actually entertain seeing, yes? Which is that relaxed awareness, that conscious contact, that seeing. And so that's why I believe all forms of looking, in a way, get used by selfing as blindness to the seeing. So you get more and more involved in a new way of looking, and you're thinking you're improving your way of looking, but you're blinding yourself to the fact of seeing, your natural state.
But you're not actually doing any of that.
Exactly. There's no one doing anything of that. That's just what's happening. And also, if something intervenes, that's also what happens. Yeah? And something changes everything, that's also what happens. You never get written into the story. Selfing has absolutely no relevance. That's its death cry. It wants to be relevant at all costs. Selfing. It wants to seem like it has a reality. And it's like someone said, it's actually hijacking the life that you are representing and claiming it to be its own. And therefore it uses you to express itself through your apparatus. That's what it does. It's like that's how I see it. And there's freedom from it, just like there's freedom from self-centeredness. If you go to the core of the whole system itself, yes? If you realize you're not that, you don't have to deal with the periphery of it, because those are just the effects from the core, which is your identification itself. You tell the truth about that, you get relief. It's like finding the first knot. A thread from that first knot goes through all the other knots. When that loosens, all the other knots loosen. That's why you know you've hit the money. It reveals its truth by how you travel with it. Yeah? It's indisputable after a while. You just know. I mean, there's no I don't need an outside authority. I don't need 800 pages of scriptures. I don't need a freaking teacher telling me, oh yes, I'm giving you another name or something. Yeah, it'd be fun. But I don't need anybody proclaiming one thing or the other. I have my own gut. I know. Yeah. Awareness is very obvious. So, there you have it. Any more questions? Any questions on baking or anything? Baking, cooking? I'm going to field all questions today, and that'll be it. No more tomorrow. Anything? Sports? How the Yankees doing? I gotta hug this woman. I just have to hug her. Sorry. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I gotta get something from this, man. So, we having another one tomorrow, yeah? We can explore. It's fun if you want to come back. Love to see everybody. Yeah? I'm off the hook now. We can go have something, tea or something. Go to Toronto nightlife. Be frigid, I don't know how anyone can have a nightlife in below zero, Your face will be frozen.
It's all indoors.
It is, yeah. So, all right, well, I'm going to get up anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hey, brother. How are you, man? I'm good. I'm pretty good. Nice to have you. Huh?
Whoever is brought me here has to take me home.
Who brought you?
It's kind of like, you don't have to do anything.
That's right.
You don't have to worry about getting somewhere or preaching to someone to take you home.
That's right. Yeah.
Whoever brought me here, it's like at the end of the party.
That's
Who
right.
brought me
Their
here?
responsibility. That's right. He's the designated driver. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't want to cause much of a ruckus, though. I don't want to just sit at the party, enjoy it, and quietly go
But
home.
at the same time, you don't have to worry about who's taking you home.
That's right.
You know, you have a ride. You don't have to be like, my ride left.
So that,
You're on the ride. So for me, it was profound. It was about tears. I don't relax. I don't care about it.
that's right.
Enjoy the party.
That's right. Exactly.
Don't take me home.
It's all about relaxing. It really is. And the relaxation self has doesn't. It's not like this. This is a much different relaxation. This is like it's an all-terrain relaxation. It travels well over everything. Selfing's relaxation is based on conditions. It may let itself unwind for an hour. This is just, I like it more. Yeah.
I did a bit of work in addiction because I read Chinese medicine, so I went to the Bronx and self-help working center where they do the you have to sit in and
Oh, did you? Good.
I like the things I use is like I said, that's what group work is so great is because you can't